In my case, I'm definitely not supposed to be killing myself or doing drugs and drinking alcohol because I was made for so much more. And when I realized that, that's when I really started to devote myself to helping other soldiers, sailors, and Marines. That's my duty. That's my moral obligation to serve them. And then we discovered that we were going to go into Fallujah for the second battle, Operation Phantom Fury. And it got very intense after that. But when we got to Camp Fallujah at the end of October, there was not one night where artillery was not firing. One of my buddies, the way he expresses it is, we were baptized by fire. Like, we really truly became Marines that night, entering the city, going to fight. In my case, I'm definitely not supposed to be killing myself or, doing drugs and drinking alcohol because I was made for so much more. And when I realized that, that's when I really started to devote myself to helping other soldiers, sailors, and Marines. That's my duty. That's my moral obligation to serve them.
Freedom is the song that we sing as we march on.
Angelo Martinez, thank you so much for joining us on The Road to Greatness. This is a series that we are so honored to have you here. So thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you for having me.
So I would love to start with just sharing with the viewers that maybe have never heard of what you're creating, what you're doing, a little bit about you and, what you've created with Barracks Legend Foundation. Let's just get right into it.
Sure, absolutely. I served 8 years in the Marine Corps infantry, and in that time frame, I endured a lot in my time in combat, serving in Iraq, and those things carried on when I got out. And being separated from structure, purpose, and camaraderie really weighed on me because I no longer had those friends, those brothers to rely on. And I turned to coping with drugs and alcohol, which soon developed into suicidal ideations. Through my own experience with suicide, I developed and created the Barracks Legend Foundation. And our mission was to draw veterans out of isolation into community to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. And that's kind of like the overview of how that kind of came to.
Sure, and we'll start to get into that as we go through on this episode. But I'd love to learn a little bit about you prior to the Marine Corps. What was your upbringing like? Who were your role models? And let's kind of start there.
Oh, I was a very rambunctious child, I can tell you that. I am one of four. I have 3 sisters. And I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. We were pretty poor. My biological dad was in and out of jail, so left my mom and our family very vulnerable to a lot of bad things. So we had a pretty rough upbringing, but my mom met my stepdad through AOL, the chat room.
Wow.
And we moved to South Florida. My mom sent me first because she knew I needed discipline, because at that time I was a very wild child. And I met my stepdad. I did not get along with him, but I do credit him with the insight of joining the military.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you say you did not get along with him, was that just because you were like a young, rambunctious kid, or was he, not necessarily a man to look up to? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, when my mom met my stepdad, my biological dad was still alive. And at that time, I was, I was like maybe 12 or 13, something like that. And I had gone to alternative schooling. I had was already struggling with anxiety and stuff like that. But I was going out and doing things that I should not have been as a 11, 12, 13-year-old. I was already sexually active by 11. I was dating a 19-year-old at the age of 13 who had a child. I had no structure, no discipline. I had none of that. I loved my biological dad, but he was not in the picture at that time. And my mom could not control me. So I was out every night, super late, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, just doing whatever in the street. So when she met my stepdad and he sent me down to Florida, that was a very different experience.
It's like authority.
Yes.
First time.
Yes.
And you were like, no way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I rebelled against them so much, mainly because I was so used to that environment of doing whatever I wanted. Even though I knew it was wrong to not listen to my mom, she was working 3 or 4 jobs, so she couldn't be there. She had to provide for us. And I was just a wild child with no structure. So meeting my stepdad, he immediately implemented structure. So I went from hanging out 1, 2 in the morning to I had a curfew every day, including weekends, 8 o'clock at night, every single day. And we clashed a lot. And eventually we came up on graduating high school. I hated him. I could not stand him. But he said, you either get a job or you join the military. And the path was set to join the military. So
do you feel like even though you resisted or rebelled against the authority, do you feel like as a young child at 10, 11 years old, you kind of craved the discipline in some way?
I think what I really craved in that was love. And discipline does equal love. And I just didn't have that because my father wasn't in the picture. And in that time, like I would try to lean on other men for that love, and they couldn't be there all the time, my uncles and stuff like that. So what I really craved was the love from my father.
Right.
And he just wasn't there.
Right. And it sounds crazy, but anybody who's studied any level of either self-awareness, consciousness, or just human development and psychology, that over sexually active or at a very young age is very common in, lesser income areas, and bad neighborhoods, poor areas and stuff like that. It's very common. Not to say that you don't see it in higher affluent areas too. It's just humans being humans, but it is a very big pattern recognition that you see in these, areas that have a lot more poverty, that you see that over sexual activity and whatnot from a young age. And it's very Freudian, and I know it's early on in the episode and we're getting right into it, but it is very Freudian to, crave either mother or father's love through that, seeking that. Would you say that you could speak upon that at all?
Because I had such a close relationship with my dad, when he went to jail the first time, it made me realize, one, it made me realize how much I loved him, but two, it made me realize that I needed a figure. I needed someone that I could actually look to and kind of not fill shoes, but kind of walk beside him and learning things, because I'm the only boy of women. I have 3 sisters. I have my mom. And there was a lot that was placed on me. So when my dad went to jail, he said, you're the man of the house. Take care of your mother and your sisters. And I'm only like 8 at this point, 7 or 8. And I don't know what it means to be a man. So that left us vulnerable to a lot of abuse from other people, everything from sexual abuse to emotional abuse, stuff like that. And I realized then how important it was to have a man in the house to protect us. And I wasn't equipped, but that actually impacted me going forward because I couldn't protect my sisters or my mom from these things. So that actually wound up hurting me long term as we went along.
What age or what point in your life was there a moment when you had the awareness with yourself that, like, hey, I do admire my stepdad. I do admire my father. You know, you mentioned something a few minutes ago of like, hey, I didn't realize that, you know, he just kind of had your best interest. Was there something that, did that take you like years to get to later on in life, or did you kind of get that early on?
That took me boot camp. So it was very interesting. My best friend came up to me in the cafeteria at lunch, said, hey, I'm joining the Marine Corps. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, well, I didn't desire to go to college, or I didn't want to get a job, even though the Marine Corps is a real job, much harder. And I just didn't see much direction in that. So I was like, you know what, I'll go with you. I'll go to the recruiting center or whatever. And I went there, I saw them in dress blues, and I was like, I want that. That's what I want.
What was it that you wanted? What'd you feel in that moment?
Oh, pride, respect. I still didn't have a full grasp on discipline or honor and commitment, or even courage, but I knew what I saw in front of me was a man, and I knew he was disciplined, and I knew he can get the job done. I knew that, and I was like, that's what I want. His name was Staff Sergeant Gallimore, was my recruiter. So I saw that. That's what I wanted. I came back home and I told my mom, my stepdad, and my stepdad was very excited for me because he wanted to join the military back then, but he had a child and he couldn't finesse it. So I joined the Marine Corps in June of 2003, and my best friend came with me. So it was a eye-opener for discipline and structure.
I'm sure.
And respect. I think respect would be the biggest thing for me, because I had no respect, none for my stepdad, none at all. So I was allowed one phone call in boot camp. It was because something we did, and I was the winner of this, was to say. So I was allowed one phone call, and my senior drill instructor brought me in, and it was him. Our drill hat sat at Whitehead, and then our kill hat left. And he goes, "You get one phone call. Who are you gonna call?" I was like, "I'll call my parents, sir." He goes, "Okay, call 'em." So I called my parents, and my dad answered first. I was like, hey, Dad, no, it was Lewis. Let's call him Lewis at the time. Hey, Lewis, is my mom there? He goes, yeah, how's it going? Just put my mom on. Completely ignored him, whatever. Talked to my mom, caught up. I had like maybe 5 minutes. And then I was really rude to my dad. I call my dad. I was really rude to him. And then I hung up the phone. And I was about to walk out after they dismissed me, and he goes, you know what, Recruit Martinez, come back. He goes, who was that? Who's that man you spoke to? I was like, oh, it's my stepdad. He goes, your stepdad? That's your stepdad. That's your stepdad, and that's how you talk to him. He goes, this recruit doesn't have a good relationship with. It's like, do you pay bills at your house? I was like, no, sir. It's like, have you ever? No, sir. Have you ever provided food? Have you ever driven, your family around? Do you have sisters? Like, yes, sir. Because how many sisters do you have? This crew has 3 sisters. 3 sisters? I suppose you care for them. No, sir. Like, who cares for them? My mom. And who else? My stepdad. So don't you think your stepdad may be allowed a bit of respect for taking care of your mom and your sisters? Yes, sir. So why don't you? This crew doesn't know. You don't know because you're dumb. And because you're a snot-nosed punk who thinks you know it all. And your stepdad just sounds like took your mom and your 3 sisters in without question. And you are sitting here being extremely rude to him while he is covering all the bills for your mom and your 3 sisters. and you have no respect for him. It's like, you are a piece of trash. Get out of my room.
And this is coming from a man you respect.
Yes. Yes. And I walked out of there, and I was so bothered by it because I had never been told something like that. Because I mean, not like I had a giant ego, but I was very prideful, right? And I didn't want to listen. I was rebelling against authority. And that night, I was sitting in bed, and I was like, man, am I that oblivious to all this? Am I like not understanding this? And it like dawned on me that like I really had been this snot-nosed punk that was being extremely disrespectful. And although I loved my mom and I respected my mom, how could I respect my mom but not respect the man that's been caring for us? Mm-hmm. So it was like 2 weeks later, I sat down and I wrote a letter, and I apologized to him. And I said, I just want to thank you for taking care of my mom and my sisters and all the things you do. I know I haven't been that great to you, but I just want to tell you that I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you again, Dad. And then I sent that letter. And after that, I treated him like he was exactly what he was. He was my dad. And our relationship has been phenomenal. He's still crazy, but...
You guys have a relationship now. How did he respond to that letter?
I'm pretty sure my mom said he cried a bit because I'd given him so much hell. I mean, I was very rambunctious. I mean, I would sneak out of the house. We had my best friend, Joey, who I call my brother. He lived 3 doors down from me, and we would sneak out through my window, which was like this big, and like we go out and go gallivant and do stuff. And my dad knew that because he could hear us. We lived in a trailer. So we would step on the tree that was behind my window, and my dad was a step ahead of us, and he had it cut down. So my brother climbed out of the window, not knowing that the tree was gone, and he fell and landed on the actual stump and hurt his back. And my dad came in and goes, "What's going on?" I was like, "Nothing." My brother's just outside laying there. He was always a step ahead of us. But that's the kind of chaos and mayhem we would cause, drink all his liquor and do all this stuff, not doing what I should have been doing and being respectful. But our relationship has been incredible since that man, Staff Sergeant Schaefer, called me out and told me exactly the truth.
Yeah, what I'm hearing you say as you share this is that he opened up for you to see another viewpoint other than your own. And I think that's a skill to grow as we mature as human beings, really. And I went through something similar. I mean, not similar to what your story is, but a very simplified version. When my parents got divorced, I was like 15 or so. And I thought that it was the absolute end of the world. It was all my fault. I'm an only child. So I just was completely isolated and heartbroken as a young teenager and totally rebelled well into my 20s, I would say, young 20s. And then, I met somebody who was, to this day, somebody that changed my whole life. And she said, hey, that's your viewpoint, that it was heartbreak and devastation, but maybe it was freedom for your parents. They were not happy together. Maybe another viewpoint for your parents is that it's total freedom and this is a good thing. And I had never heard somebody say that before. And it changed my whole viewpoint on the divorce or whatever, because I was so sucked into my own story of what happened to me or something. And I couldn't even see a whole nother viewpoint, which is everything's okay. And maybe it's just actually freedom for everybody, So that's what I hear that drill instructor did is, hey, here's another viewpoint.
Absolutely.
Right. And it just goes to show that we can change our past at any moment. Yeah. Right. It's like everybody's, oh, it's in the past. You can't do anything about it. It's like, well, I always ask people, well, have you ever had a perspective shift? As we mature, our belief system grows. And there's something that we so believe in today that in 5 years from now, hey, I don't believe that anymore.
Right.
I'm a different human being now. I just simply don't believe in that anymore. And now I have a completely different perspective on my past or something, right?
Yeah, and in true Marine Corps fashion, those 2 weeks, he just slayed me on the quarterdeck and out in the pit. So
Of course.
that also played a factor into me realizing that too. So after boot camp, you go to SOI. I went to the School of Infantry in Camp Geiger, North Carolina. It's right by Camp Lejeune. You go there, you learn the basics of Marine Corps infantry, a little advanced stuff, and then graduated in December and went to my first unit. 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. They were they were on Christmas leave. They had just gotten back from Mosul, Iraq. So I was there probably for like a month before they came back, and then they came back from their leave, and we started training right away. They were a bunch of monsters when I first met them, but they were the most they were the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life. I mean, you know, as a junior Marine, you join the Marine Corps, you go to infantry, and you're a boot, and you don't get treated very well because you kind of have to earn your place. And we weren't very respected at first. They respected us as Marines, but not fully as an infantryman. So we got a little roughed up every now and then, and it's based on how you perform. So if you make mistakes, like, you're gonna pay, right? If you get smart with somebody that's higher ranked than you, you're gonna pay. But if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're not, messing up or messing around, like, you're good. You just gotta PT, train hard and stay open to learning, because there's a lot to learn as a junior Marine. And these guys taught us everything we needed to know. They scared us because we were going to Iraq, and Iraq at that time was starting to really fire up. So we trained from January of 2004 all the way up to about May, and then we pumped out to Iraq June 21st of 2004. My recruiter said, I'm going to leave June 21st. I'm going to be in boot camp, and 1 year from that date, I'll be in Iraq. And he was spot on. 1 year from the date that I joined the Marine Corps, I was in Iraq. It's like...
So talk to us about, I say us, I mean civilians, those that are civilians listening. Talk to us about that first flight over. What was going on in your head, body, spirit?
I was scared at the beginning, not because I didn't know what to do, more so that I have my family and my sisters, and I'm going to a location where there's war, real war. And I remember right before I left back to base, I was in the bathroom, and it all started like dawning on me that, like, I'm going to go fight a war, and I've never done that. I've been trained for it, but, like, I'm scared now. Like, in that bathroom in this trailer, I started crying, and my sister Delilah came in the bathroom and she hugged me, and then my little sister came, and then my big sister came, and then by the time we're all in the bathroom just crying together, because we were all scared at that point. And then I got on the plane to fly back to Camp Lejeune, and it was gone after that. All the fear was gone. I think that was my transition from boy to young man, or at least boy to warrior. And to say that fear was gone, it's not fully gone, but the fear of death has left me. So I don't fear death. And I got back to Camp Lejeune, and I saw all my friends, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna hit the ground running. So
Yeah, it's building courage, right?
yeah, I mean, in that time frame, it was interesting because Fallujah had just happened, and they had stopped I think it was like 2 or 3 blocks into the city. So there was a lot of rumors already circulating like this was going to happen again. And we got to Iraq and we landed in Kuwait, and then we made our way to Al Assad, and we started with just random patrols, and not random, but strategic patrols around the cities around Al Assad, Haditha Dam, stuff like that. Reality didn't really hit until Godwin died from an IED. We went to Fallujah. I think it's like end of July, a little bit in August. And we went to Fallujah. It wasn't like a mass operation. We were operating around the city because Fallujah had been shut down. Like there's no one going in. The insurgents had taken over the city. The Fallujah brigade was gone. Were disbanded. So we were all operating outside the city. And you can just feel the tension in the air. It was so tense. I don't even know how to explain how you can cut it with a knife, how tense that city was. So Godwin died from an IED, and reality struck us, and we're like, wow, like we've seen him, we know who he is, like he's in our company, and we're like, wow, this is actually real. And that's a few months in, so we didn't really have a lot of contact those first few months. June, July, August wasn't a lot of contact. We had that one IED, and then September comes, and there's more rumors going around about the second battle, and now we're in October, and we're like, we came back from sweeping a city, I think it was Rawa, and they say, pack your stuff. We're going to Camp Fallujah. You can't share any of the things you're about to do, so if you gotta write a letter or whatever, do it, but no more communication out of this. And we're like, man, this is gonna get a little intense. And then we discovered that we were gonna go into Fallujah for the second battle, Operation Phantom Fury. And it got very intense after that. You can hear like artillery going off, or I hadn't really seen an airstrike. But when we got to Camp Fallujah at the end of October, there was not one night where artillery was not firing. Every night, around the clock, artillery was being fired into the city, prepping the city for the assault. And we were working with tanks, AAVs, other platoons and companies to do this sweep. And I believe it was November 7th or 8th, we came out, got our ROE brief, which is our rules of engagement, and they basically said there are none. Obviously, no women or children, but whoever has a weapon, they point at you, they will be killed. And we got on our 7 tons. It was something. It was weird. It was pouring rain. It was thundering and lightning. And the lightning was so like animated. It felt like you were in like a movie or something. And you just knew that what was about to happen was going to change the course of the war. And it was the last time I saw Deseado as well. And we went to not the assault position, but we went to an area of the stage right outside of Fallujah. And we waited there, and we watched C-130s drop 2 pallets of 20,000 pounds of C4 on these pallets to breach the man-made berms that these insurgents had created. And they landed, and it was the biggest explosion I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we were miles away, and it shook all of us to the core. That was probably my first TBI experience for sure.
Well, as you explained with your younger upbringing, just looking to feel something, right? Like just wanting to feel with all the rebellious activity and stuff like that. Fast forward, I think you were definitely feeling everything.
Yeah.
Right. Which is not wrong, right? I mean, the way that, you know my husband well. I know the way that he explains that is he's never felt so much hate, you know, at the same time, so much love for the person next to you.
Yeah.
And so then going back into civilian life, often it's just like living in the mediocrity of feeling, right? It's not the extremes of like hate and love and all the things in between. Everything is because you have to be so present in the moment, I would imagine. I mean, this is how he's shared it with me. And you know, then you come back here and it's like, hey, just go to Publix or go grocery shopping somewhere. And it's like, or when when somebody says, hey, I love you, it's like, well, you know, it doesn't have the same emotion and drive and passion behind it.
No.
You know, that's the way that I've heard him explain his experience.
Right. Yeah. It's very spot on. I mean, you're basically entering what was called the bloodiest battle since Hue City, Vietnam. And they're literally, I mean, we had never been in a real firefight up to that point. And we watched the entire north side of the city, I believe is north side of the city, opening a fire, just rain fire down on Bravo and Charlie Company as they breached the city. That was the first time I ever, and then we started getting casualties. And then reality is really hitting. You're like, okay, like we're next. Like we're going straight into the government compound. And as soon as like the firefighting kind of died down after a while, this is November 9th going into November 10th. So November 10th is our sacred holiday, Marine Corps birthday. So we all entered the AAVs and they read the commandant's message. It said, "Happy birthday, Marines." And then we went right into the government compound. So it was I get goosebumps thinking about this. One of my buddies, he the way he expresses it is, we were baptized by fire. Like we really truly became Marines that night, entering the city, going to fight. And we went to the government compound. We took it over, and right when daylight hit, this mass chaos.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So what did you learn about you in all this? Because obviously you are here, and despite the, you know, things that you've gone through within, you know, our own head, we all have our own battles, but you know, despite whatever you've gone through from upbringing to Marine Corps, you know, I trust there was a lot of great things that came out of that too. And I trust that you learned some amazing qualities about yourself with resilience and courage and I can do this, you know? Yeah. So could you speak to us about what are the great things you learned about yourself through this process?
Through the Marine Corps, I learned that I can do just about anything. I can, even with limitations, because I have TBI and I struggled with PTSD for a while. But I learned that even despite that, I can still do hard things that people are scared to do. Because a lot of people get scared when there's hard things to do, right? I'm not scared to do the hard things. I'm not scared to do the things that require sacrifice. I know what those things bring me. I know how big of a blessing those things can be when you do hard things and you sacrifice all the things around you to go pursue these things. So I learned a lot about being structured, being disciplined, and staying on course.
Yeah. And so now you have a foundation, Barracks Legend, that is paying this forward for other men and women. And what I love about your foundation is that it's really just about getting the veterans together And, that's the best therapy there is getting you guys together. One of, being married to a Marine, one of the things that I had to learn very young is I don't know. And that's okay. I'm never going to have that experience, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So one of the best solutions is just getting you guys together and let God take it from there. It works itself out, right? So what I love about what you do with Barracks Legend is the fishing trips, the hunting experiences, the events, and the impact that you guys are having. So talk to us a little bit about why you created this foundation and the impact that you're having now with veterans.
Well, the whole purpose and the reasoning behind it was obviously my own experience with suicide. And I had just been kind of at my wit's end. I was pretty crushed. I was living on a broken futon that my best friends were letting me stay on. And I just had enough. And I said, you know what? I'm going to kill myself. And as soon as I said that, everything stopped. My anxiety, my depression, everything was gone. I said, oh, that's all I needed to do. That's all I needed to do was just commit to that. I waited for my roommate to leave. I went to go retrieve his AK-47. I stood up, and a Marine I had just recently met had called me and invited me out to go shoot a video for his supplement company. And I said, well, it beats what's going to happen now. And he doesn't know me, so I'll come back and do it later. And I went out there. I met a bunch of soldiers, sailors, and Marines that I'd never met before. And I was filled with so much joy and happiness. I came back wet and sandy, and I sat on this broken futon and said, I don't have to kill myself anymore. I don't have to die. And it literally clicked in my head. It's like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Camaraderie. And that kind of gave birth to what the Barracks Legend is now. Because 44 veterans a day take their lives every day. A study by America's Warrior Partnership, Alabama State, and Duke University discovered the number 22 excludes alcohol and drug-related incidences. So when you combine that, you get 44 veterans or more. So our mission is to host electrifying events from shark dives, axe throwing to comedy shows, to take veterans from isolation into community, improve mental health, and prevent veteran suicide.
Yeah, and it's that when you said, hey, I don't have to do this, and you found, hey, that's what's missing. It's like, it's inside of us. Yeah. And whatever the reason is or whatever we're searching for, the answer is always there. That's kind of what I'm getting out of what you're sharing.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, God made us perfect the way we are, right? We're all different, but we were all made for something more. And that's where we really get lost at is, I'm here on this planet, this big planet with all these people. What am I supposed to be doing? Well, in my case, I'm definitely not supposed to be killing myself or, doing drugs and drinking alcohol because I was made for so much more. And when I realized that, that's when I really started to devote myself to helping other soldiers, sailors, and Marines. That's my duty, or that's my moral obligation to serve them.
You needed a mission.
Yeah. I need a new mission. I need a new structure. I need a new camaraderie.
So looking back at the little boy that was rebellious against authority, his stepfather, dad, mom, all that, to joining the Marine Corps, getting that structure and having an example of a good man, what would you say is your advice to maybe the younger generation that is watching this right now? For maybe they don't have an influence yet. Yeah. What would you say is your advice?
This is going to sound crazy, but it's going to be seek the kingdom of God. That's number one. Number two, go lift weights. Be healthy. Be strong. And three, avoid sexual immorality at all costs. Because those are the things that are most important for boys, right? And obviously, if you have a male role model in your life, cling to him, learn from him, because that's what matters most, is how to be a man. And you can't be a man without God.
Right. Yeah. That's the God over man, man over woman, woman over child, right? The order of that. So, of course, this documentary is to share core values, and we felt duty was the value for you because everything that you've shared with us, and now taking that and moving it into duty. You know, it's my experience with you and Barracks Legend is it's your duty to do this now.
Yeah.
You know, so we felt that that core value was something that once you have that mission and it's your duty, then now it's really the duty to honor love, which is God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say makes America great?
One, God. I mean, obviously God is everywhere, but you can't preach the gospel everywhere the way you can here. And I know people say, oh, there's hundreds of sovereign countries that you can do this. Not the way you can in America. You don't have the same freedoms here in America that you have in other countries. You don't. I think what makes America great is just being able to have the freedom to do what you want without hurting people, but also to be poor and work your way up to being rich, or to being able to take care of your family, or leave a legacy, or build a business, or become a doctor, or do all these things. To be able to do these things, or come to our country legally, or if it happens illegally, whatever, but being able to come here to our country and have the opportunity to go to school, get a job, build a business, and lead people at a higher capacity. I think really in all of it, that's what really makes America so great, is all the opportunities that are provided.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that I believe most Americans, you know, take for granted, the opportunity that, or even the middle class, you know, there's not much middle class in a lot of other countries. And it's really what makes America different, right? Well, thank you, Angelo, for joining us on the road to greatness. We appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to more collaborations together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And look forward to this coming out.
If you enjoyed this episode on the road to greatness, then make sure you catch this video to learn from another veteran on what makes America great and the core values that build America.